When I come to events like this, I tend to, one of my personal objectives is to get spun up and smart and educated by a wide variety of people about what's coming, the strategy, the positioning and emerging trends that are occurring in our space and with our customers, so we can better position the business. But when I speak at these events, what I like to do is focus on the practical and the tactical, maybe a few tidbits based on our experience that you can take home and start to act on tomorrow to solve today's challenges. And I would describe this large parcel environment as one of those issues that we need to focus on and we can act pretty tactically around. So first, a little bit about our company, mainly to provide you with some context around what I'm going to be speaking about in our point of view. USPack is intentionally, proudly, and purposely focused on a diverse set of customers and service offerings. About 3/4 of our revenue is generated from retail customers in a variety of different delivery programs in the final mile. We're a 100% final mile focused delivery provider. So 3/4 of our business is focused on retail. We also have a very healthy and robust clinically focused healthcare business that accounts for about 26% of our deliveries. We are focused on a number of different things. Non-conveyable deliveries, the delivery of and installation, assembly, and placement of large, bulky items, furniture, appliances, electronics, fitness equipment, is roughly 30% of our volume. That's going to relate directly to what I'm talking about today. We're accustomed and comfortable with speed and precision. 80% of the volume that we move gets delivered to the consignee the day that we receive the product. We have facilities in place, cross docks, solely to induct products, stage, and support deliveries. 85% of the shipments that we execute on a daily basis are prescribed to have specific delivery windows or prescribed wall clock execution times. So that can be anywhere from a 4-hour or 2-hour delivery window for a big and bulky item to a scheduled wall clock delivery time plus or minus 10 minutes. So the speed and precision dimensions of what we're doing is very kind of baked into our service offering. And when you kind of see at the bottom of the screens here that we support a wide variety of origin and destination points, service types, and freight types. We think it's very important to be in positions for our customers to be a one-stop shop for a broadening and widening set of final mile delivery programs. So we're speaking from that kind of a perspective. So let's get specific about Parcel. My characterization of this is one more time, in that what we experienced last year from a capacity perspective is going to persist into this year, and in my opinion is the new normal. Really can't fault anybody here. I've spoken to a lot of shippers who have a wide variety of points of view on what's been occurring in the space, but the simple fact is the huge increase in volumes, the adoption rate of basically 5 years worth of online purchasing adoption occurring in a 12-month period. It just created a tremendous amount of volume and flipped the script for UPS and FedEx to being predominantly B2C delivery in their networks. So the moves that have been made around capacity management are really focused on improving the yield and the economics of their networks. And whether you feel like that's a natural response to capacity or whether you think that that's given these folks the opportunity to premiumize and take economic advantage of the market conditions is really, we don't have a dog in that hunt. The simple reality is capacity is tight and product has been diverted out of the network. And one of the categories in the classes of product that has had the biggest impact or hit by this, and you can kind of see this, with this point about July 4th, implementing, $30 to $40, large package surcharges and bumping it up, a month from now to support peak season. Large parcels have taken a big piece of that hit. So what's been the reaction? What was the first step that everybody kind of put in place and have been putting in place right now? Where can I find additional capacity? Because this is not just a large parcel issue. This is an issue that relates to all types of packages and all sorts of capacities. And I would absolutely tell you, if you're not already, frankly, after what's happened over the last 12 months, I would be shocked if you're not. But if you're not, you should be talking to these folks, regional parcel carriers. Lasership, OnTrack, Speedy, LSO, Pit Ohio are some of the largest ones. What do these folks provide? They provide dense regional coverage. They have strong operations. They have strong rates. And I want to emphasize this point because I'm going to use it as a contrast to what I'm going to talk about from the large parcel side. They provide a quote-unquote true parcel solution. And what I mean by that is they will pick your product up at your distribution center. They will support a single induction point to a wide geography of distribution through an internal line haul system and distribution system. They will execute their operations through a central sortation hub. So all product in a region will come into a location where it will be handled, sorted, crossed, and ultimately sent out to the network for delivery. Again, pure parcel, true parcel, not really interested in the big stuff, non-conveyables. So one of the fundamental questions here is, what is big? What does non-conveyable mean? The reality is that means different things to different shippers. It means different things to different carriers. And I'd like to illustrate a couple of examples. So on one side of the screen, we've got a two-person team that's delivering and installing appliances for carrying in flooring or other heavy materials. So what does that look like from an operational standpoint? Two people in a box truck with a lift gate. From a freight or vehicle utilization perspective, that's a cube killer, depending on what carrier you're talking to. You cannot stack on top of that. So we're talking about pallet positions dedicated to single items. At the point of delivery, I'm going to carry in, place in a room of choice, potentially assemble, potentially install, remove debris, haul away the item that we're replacing with the new item, and potentially perform some sort of education or training or familiarization with the consumer. What does that look like from a utilization and productivity perspective? Two-person team who's cranking in a metropolitan area is probably going to execute 18 to 20 deliveries a day. Now, for any of you folks who are familiar with what parcel utilization looks like in terms of stops per day or deliveries per day, we're not feeling very good if we're doing less than 150 stops per day in a metropolitan area. Okay, so a completely different utilization model. So let's look at what's the problem parcel which is on the other side of the screen, in the context of what a big and bulky carrier is going to be delivering every day. My piece is going to weigh 20 to maybe 100 pounds, top end 150 pounds. Or it's going to be longer than 4 feet, wider than 2 feet. I'm not going to have a problem at all putting that in my truck. It stacks well. I can line things up, sort of put it on the side and stage it. I'm going to deliver that to the doorstep. I'm going to have signature release. I'm going to be able to execute proof of delivery, either with a signature, pre-COVID, or with a geofence timestamp and a photo capture during COVID, maybe post-COVID as a standard. I could do that with one person, so the helper can get out and drop that off. It's going to take me 2 to 5 minutes versus 20 to 25 minutes on average. Oh, you're home? You want me to carry that in and place it in, over the threshold in the garage? in the room that I'm going to use it in? Yeah, okay, I'll do that. They probably won't charge you for it. So it's going to take you, another 5 minutes? And I'm on my way. So the metaphor here is one person's trash is another person's treasure. And what we consistently find in any part of final mile transportation is if I'm used to doing something, whether it's easy or whether it's complicated, that's what I'm used to doing. So these types of shipments and these types of deliveries can be viewed as pretty easy to execute by drivers for big and bulky carriers, and looked at pretty favorably in terms of being able to commingle and intermingle that in. So let's get specific now on what the use case is. Okay? So what we're talking about is a carrier that's going to have a cross-dock location in the metropolitan area, and they're going to be able to provide same-day service within a 50 to 75-mile radius of their building. They prefer the freight to be palletized when it comes in, but if it's floor-loaded, they can handle that as well. Now let's talk about more traditional parcel expectations. Digital chain of custody, check. I'll scan on the inbound, I'll scan on the load, and then I'll get digital proof of delivery at that point. And I'll get that with signature or signature release with photo POD. Can I tender freight to you electronically? Yes, absolutely. Every one of these carriers is digitally integrated with their shippers, receives ASN files, provides delivery evidence back to their carriers. So we're just talking about different types of TMS, typically parcel-specific TMS solutions. But the ability to integrate and transact digitally with the shipper is 100% there. What are some other advantages that you'll get with carriers like this? You'll have later cutoffs. Big and bulky carriers can receive product as late as 6 a.m. the day of delivery and still execute same-day delivery, either from an 8 to 6 or 8 to 8 window. And are frequently doing that 6, even 7 days a week. Fewer touches. So I receive at my induction point at my cross dock. I sort down to a route level. I load out and the driver delivers. Much fewer touches in a traditional parcel environment. Very, very accessorial friendly. Typically these folks are used to charging at stop rates rather than in very light accessories. No, let's say we get a real big package that's coming through. Lift gate surcharges? No, that's part of the base rate. Carry-in, very common. So very friendly from that perspective. And depending on what kind of shipper you are and the amount of your volume, we can support that in a commingled environment like I described, or we can deploy dedicated solutions for high volume shippers in those metropolitan areas. So there are a number of different advantages and flexibilities. The question really becomes at the shipper level, one of volume and focus, because we need to keep a few things in mind here. One is this is not true parcel. And what I mean by that is we are not going to be inducting into a single location and supporting a 5 or 6 state territory. These carriers, USPack and others, are going to have that kind of bullseye footprint inside of major metropolitan areas. So you may be able to extend to 100 miles for same-day service or 125 miles for next-day service. But the idea that you're going to drop into Chicago and support the entire Midwest, that's not what these folks are about. So you need to have the volume to break off the line haul and be able to induct into a carrier site. Can support a piece rate, but really what we're going to be looking at is deploying dedicated solutions or commingling with that. So that'll look the same. So let's talk about who these folks are in addition to folks like us. The profile that you'll want to look at and look for is someone who's doing appliance delivery, furniture delivery, fitness equipment, who's got a fairly robust Sprinter cargo van straight truck network. And another category to really keep an eye on here is anybody who's supporting office supply delivery. So one of the things that I like, having a little, grayer hair and being in the space for a while is a lot of what's happening now is taking models that were old and fairly well established with a couple of sets of retail categories and now applying them to a much broader set. And office supply carriers and office supply retailers have been delivering desks, filing cabinets, printers, 75-pound boxes of paper for years and years and years in just this sort of residential delivery model. So those are the folks that you're going to want to talk to and partner with. My estimation in kind of preparing for this, there's probably 50 to 60 carriers in the US that are well positioned to do this. I would be happy to talk to anyone who's interested either after this talk, or you can contact me via email to speak more about what that carrier base looks like and understand kind of what your requirements are. I think this is a largely untapped, very rich vein of opportunity to divert the freight that's going to get very expensive very quickly, starting now into next month, and kind of keep a cost neutral position for your large parcel shippers. Many of those could be folks that are doing big and bulky deliveries today, but in addition to couches and beds, they're delivering end tables or what have you. There are others that are in that 20 to 100 pound class, or some dim rate triggers that would be excellent candidates to utilize carriers like this. So wanted to keep that short and sweet. I know everybody's going to have to be getting out of town today, so that's all I have. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention, and travel safe today.